Hello, friends. We just are just thankful to the God of the universe for allowing us to spend this time with you that we like to call a moment with the Master. You know, one of my favorite stories in the Bible is in John chapter 6, where there were thousands of people around Jesus and the disciples, and they had no food to eat. And there was a little boy who had 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. He was a little boy. He probably wasn't 10 years old. And he took that 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. And by the way, that bread was just very small pieces of bread. And he gave it to Jesus. And that the fish and the bread became seed. And Jesus used it to feed over 10,000 people. And they had food left over. You may not have heard of the story of a little girl by the name of Hattie Bailey. Hattie Bailey, in the 1800s, she was a little girl, about 7 or 8 years old, from a very poor family. And she wanted to go to church. And she went to this church, but this church was packed. It was full. And she couldn't go on the inside. And so the preacher of the church, that pastor, he happened to see this little girl on the outside. And he took her by the hand and he brought her into the church. And the church was so packed that the seating that she had to sit on a chair toward the back of the church in a kind of darker area of the church. Whereas time went on, unfortunately, the little girl, she passed. She died. And as her mother was going through some of her stuff and going through it, her mother found this little tattered purse. And in the purse, there were 2 things. There was a note, and there were 57 cents. And in the note said, I want to give this 57 cents to the church so they can build a bigger building, so children can have a seat. Well, the mother gave that note and the money to the pastor, the preacher of that church. And he was so inspired, he got up before the church. And he told the story of Hattie Bailey and how, as a little girl, she wanted a seat and she left this 57 cents. And it so inspired that church that they began to give, and they gave, and they gave, and they gave more than enough to build a bigger building so that all the children could come to church and come to Sunday school. But they did even more. They kept on giving, and they built enough for a school. And that school later became a university called Temple University. And it was all inspired by a little girl who gave 57 cents. Friend, don't ever consider what you have to be too little to be used by the Lord. What you have can be inspiration for others to give and open their hearts to the Lord. Thank God for 57 cents, but thank God for a little angel by the name of Hattie Bailey. Thank you very much for this moment with the Master.